The meeting room on Council Station was quiet. Ambassador Taeho Kim sat at the large round table, looking calm as always. His hands were folded neatly in front of him. Round the table sat the leaders of 3 alien races. Chairman Velkar was made of living crystal. His body caught the light and threw rainbow colors on the walls. He was the leader of the Veltar people. Next to him floated Counselor Nethra, a cloud of blue gas held together by a special suit. She spoke for the Nethrim. At the far end sat Admiral Mordo, his fish-like body in a water-filled chair. He was from the Morden race. The trade agreement looked good, Chairman Velkar said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. Your people have been very helpful these past 3 years. Taeho smiled. We want to be good neighbors in space. Earth has much to offer. Soyoung Park sat behind Taeho, taking notes. She was the team's language expert. Her job was to make sure nothing was lost in translation. Min Ho Lee, their culture expert, sat next to her. He watched the aliens carefully, looking for signs of how they felt. Your music is beautiful, Counselor Nethra said. Her gas form pulsed with soft colors. My people love the songs you shared, so peaceful and calm. Also enjoy your books, Admiral Mordo added. His large eyes blinked slowly. Your stories about working together are wise. Your people seem to have moved past the need for fighting. Taeho nodded. We learned long ago that peace brings more than war ever could. This was true, in a way, but it was not the whole truth. 3 years ago, human ships had appeared at the edge of Council space. The aliens had been scared at first. New species often meant trouble, but the humans came with open hands and kind words. They spoke of art, science, and friendship. The humans shared their best music, soft songs about love and hope. They gave. The aliens books about people working together to solve problems. They talked about their religions that taught peace and kindness. They showed pictures of Earth's beautiful places, green forests, blue oceans, and white mountains. The aliens were amazed. Here was a species that had grown beyond violence. The humans seemed perfect for the Galactic Council. They would fit in well with the other peaceful races, but some things were not shared. The humans did not talk about their wars. They did not mention the thousands of ways they had learned to kill each other. They did not show their war movies or fighting sports. They kept quiet about their weapons and armies. Chairman Velkar stood up. His crystal body made soft music. As he moved, I think we are ready to offer you junior membership in the Galactic Alliance. You have shown that your people are civilized and peaceful. That is a great honor, Taeho said. We accept. After the meeting ended, the 3 humans walked back to their ship. The station corridors were wide and bright. Other aliens moved around them. The tall, thin Kaleri, the small, furry Pix, and others. All of them were from peaceful worlds. All of them had grown past the need for violence, or so they thought. That went well, Soyoung said when they were alone in their ship. Yes, Taeho agreed, but he looked worried. Minho noticed. What's wrong? I keep thinking we should tell them more about Earth, Taeho said, about our real history. The Council would panic, Soyoung said. They don't understand. They've never had to fight to survive. This was true. The Veltar came from a world of crystal caves where food grew on the walls. The Nethrim lived in gas clouds in space, with no need for solid ground or water. The Morden had oceans full of food and no predators. None of them knew what it was like to come from Earth, where early humans had to fight off huge predators just to stay alive. Earth, where the weather could kill you in minutes. Earth, where poisonous plants and deadly animals lived everywhere. Earth, where humans had to become the most dangerous thing on the planet just to survive. But the aliens didn't need to know that. Not yet. On the other side of the station, Dr. Hyen-Woo Choi was working in the science lab. He was a doctor who studied alien life forms. The Council had given him access to their databases to help with medical research. Hyen-Woo loved his work. Learning about alien biology was fascinating. Species had evolved in different ways to fit their world. The Veltar could live forever if not broken. The Nethrim could float in space without protection. The Morden could breathe both water and air. He was reading about world classifications when something caught his eye. The database listed all known worlds by danger level. Class I worlds were the safest. No dangerous weather, no predators. Plenty of food. Class 12 worlds were the most dangerous. Hien Wu searched for Earth in the system. What he found made his blood go cold. Earth was rated Class 12, the highest danger level. The same level as worlds with acid rain, worlds with living volcanoes, worlds where the plants ate animals. But that was not the worst part. The database had notes. It said that Class 12 worlds were death worlds, where only the most savage species could survive. It said that any species from such a world would be extremely dangerous to galactic peace. It said that humans should never be allowed near other species. Hien Wu stared at the screen. The council knew. They had to know. Their sensors would have scanned Earth. Their computers would have rated it automatically, but they were treating humans as if they came from a peaceful world. That meant either the humans had fooled them completely, or the council was pretending not to know. Hien Wu thought about his friends back on Earth. He thought about Taeho and the diplomatic team. They were good people. They really did want peace. But they were also human. They came from a world that had tried to kill them every day for millions of years. What would happen if the aliens learned the truth? What would happen if they found out that humans were not the peaceful species they pretended to be? Hien Wu closed the database and sat back in his chair. Outside the window, alien ships moved peacefully through space. Everyone felt safe. Everyone trusted the humans, but for now. But secrets have a way of coming out. And when this secret came out, everything would change. The question was not if the aliens would learn the truth about humans. The question was when. Haven Point Station was the biggest neutral station in Council space. Ships from dozens of species docked there every day. It was a place of trade, learning, and friendship between different alien races. Ji Haiyun walked through the stations. Main corridor, carrying her tool bag. She was an engineer on a human cargo ship. Her job was to fix things that broke. Today, she was helping repair the station's water systems. Ji Hai liked Haven Point. It was peaceful and busy at the same time. Alien families walked around looking at the shops and restaurants. Children from different species played together in the parks. Everyone got along. As she turned a corner, Ji Hai heard screaming. The sound came from the medical center. Ji Hai dropped her tools and ran toward the noise. Other aliens in the corridor were running away, their faces full of terror. When Ji Hai reached the medical center, she saw why everyone was scared. 6 Skreeld pirates had broken into the building. The Skreeld H were known across the galaxy as the most violent raiders in space. They were large, covered in thick armor, and had 4 arms each. They stood nearly 3 meters tall and weighed as much as small vehicles. The pirates were smashing medical equipment and grabbing supplies. But worse, they were moving toward the children's ward, where young aliens from many species were being treated. The station's security guards were there. 3 Veltar officers made of crystal, but they were not fighting. They were frozen in place, too scared to move. Everyone knew that fighting Skreeld H meant death. One of the pirates, the leader, grabbed a small pig's child. The little alien was no bigger than a human baby, covered in soft fur. It cried in fear as the huge Skreeld H lifted it up. "Good hostage," the pirate leader said in broken council standard. "Now no one stop us." The Veltar security officers backed away. Other aliens in the medical center hid behind furniture or ran for the exits. The pirates laughed at their fear, but Ji Hai did not run. She looked around quickly, taking in everything. 6 pirates, all armed. 4 exits, 3 blocked. 15 civilians, including 8 children. The pirates were focused on scaring everyone. They were not watching for threats. Big mistake. Ji Hai moved fast and quiet. She picked up a medical scanner from a broken cart. It was heavy metal, about the size of a hammer. Good enough the first. Pirate never saw her coming. Ji Hai hit him behind the head with the scanner. The blow would have killed a human, but Skreeld had thick skulls. Just knocked him out cold. She caught his falling body and lowered it quietly to the floor. Then she took his weapon, a plasma pistol. The second pirate turned when he heard a small sound. Ji Hai was already moving. She threw the scanner at his face, then dove behind a medical bed as he fired his weapon. The plasma bolt missed her by inches. But now she was close enough. Jihai grabbed the bed's metal frame and swung it hard into the pirate's knees. The Skreltach fell down, and she hit him in the head with a medical tool. 2 down, 4 to go. The other pirates were yelling now. They knew someone was fighting them, but they could not see who in all the smoke and chaos. The leader still held the Pix's child, but his other hand was reaching for his weapon. "Show yourself, coward," he shouted. Jihai did not answer. She was already moving again. The watching aliens could not believe what they were seeing. Human female was hunting the Skreltach like they were prey. She moved without making noise, struck without warning, and seemed to know exactly what each pirate would do before they did it. The third pirate was looking the wrong way. When Jihai appeared beside him, she had found a surgical laser, a tool. Used for operations, in her hands, it became a weapon. The laser beam cut through the pirate's weapon, then hit his armor in a weak spot. He fell down, screaming, 3 down. The fourth pirate finally saw her. He was bigger than the others, carrying a heavy energy rifle. He aimed at Jihai and fired, but she was not there anymore. Jihai had rolled under a hospital cart just as he pulled the trigger. The energy blast hit the wall behind where she had been standing. Before he could fire again, the cart hit him in the legs. The pirate fell backward, and Jihai was on top of him instantly. She used a medical clamp to pinch a nerve in his neck. The big alien went to sleep like a baby, for down the fifth pirate tried to run. He had seen enough. This human was not normal. She fought like a living nightmare, but Jihai was faster. Caught him at the door and used his own momentum against him. The pirate flew into the wall hard enough to crack the metal. Did not get up. 5 down. Only the leader was left. He still held the Pix's child, but now his other hand was shaking as he pointed his weapon at Jihai. "Stay back," he shouted. "We'll kill the little one." Jihai stopped walking. She stood very still, about 5 meters away. Her hands were empty. Her face was calm. "You will not hurt the child," she said quietly. "I will. I swear I will." The pirate's voice was high with fear. This was not how raids were supposed to go. Skreltach were the hunters. Everyone else was prey. But this human had turned him into prey instead. "No," Jihai said. "You will not." She moved. Later, the security cameras would show what happened, but even then, aliens watching the recording had trouble believing it. Jihai seemed to disappear and reappear behind the pirate leader. Her hand hit his wrist, and his weapon fell to the floor. Her other hand caught the Pix's child before it could fall. The pirate leader tried to grab her, but Jihai was not there. She had moved again, placing the child safely on a medical bed. Then she turned back to the pirate. What happened next took less than 10 seconds. The pirate leader was 3 times her size and twice her weight. He had trained for combat his whole life, but it did not matter. Jihai fought like water flowing around a rock. Every attack the pirate made hit empty air. Every move he tried, she had already countered. She hit pressure points that made his arms go numb. She struck nerve centers that made his legs give out. When it was over, the pirate leader was on the floor with the others, unconscious but alive. 6 down. Jihai looked around the medical center. The aliens were staring at her in complete silence. Their eyes were wide with shock and fear, not fear of the pirates anymore. Fear of her. Captain Wu Jinam arrived with a security team just as Jihai was checking on the injured aliens. He looked at the 6 unconscious Skreltach pirates, then at Jihai, who was not even breathing hard. "What happened here?" he asked. "They were threatening children," Jihai said simply, as if that explained everything, and maybe it did. The alien. Witnesses started talking all at once, their voices high and excited. They used words like savage, predator, and killer. They talked about how the human had moved, how she had fought, how she had shown no fear. Word spread through Haven. Point station in minutes. Then it spread through the galactic communication network. Everyone wanted to know about the human who had defeated 6 Skreltach pirates by herself. The message was always the same. Humans were not what they seemed to be, and in the council, chambers. On the far side of the galaxy, Chairman Velkar received an emergency report that made his crystal body dim with worry. The secret was out. The secret meeting room was deep inside Council Station. Only the highest-ranking officials knew it existed. The walls were made of special metal that blocked all signals. Nothing said inside could be heard outside. Investigator Morthal floated. In his containment suit, his gas form swirling with dark colors. He was one of the best investigators in the Nethrum species. Next to him sat Senior Analyst Quindor, her large fish eyes focused on the data screens in front of them. "Show me the video again," Morthal said. Quindar pressed a button. The hologram showed the medical center on Haven Point Station. They watched as Ji Hyun fought 6 Skrelt H-pirates. They had seen this recording 50 times, but it never got less shocking. "Look at her movements," Quindor said, pointing with one of her webbed hands. "She does not fight like someone who learned in school. This is instinct. This is how predators move." Morthal made a sound like wind through caves, the Nethrum equivalent of agreement. "And look how she thinks. She sees the whole situation in seconds. She knows exactly where to strike, when to move, how to use everything around her as a weapon." "The Skrelt are the most feared warriors in the galaxy," Quindir added. "They have conquered dozens of worlds. But she defeated 6 of them like they were children." The door opened and Chairman Velkar entered. His crystal body was dim with worry. Behind him came Admiral Mordeau and Counselor Nethra. "What have you found?" Velkar asked. Morthal's gas form turned purple, a sign of distress. "Chairman, we have a problem. A big problem." He activated the main display. Information about humanity filled the air around them. But this was not the same information the humans had shared 3 years ago. "We dug deeper into humanity's background," Quindor explained. "We found things they did not tell us about. The first image showed human warriors from ancient times. They carried swords and spears, their faces painted for war. The aliens stared at the display in shock. "They have been fighting for 15,000 years, Morthal said. "It's not just small fights, huge wars that killed millions. They have weapons we cannot imagine. They have fighting styles designed only for killing." More images appeared. Human soldiers in strange clothes carrying metal weapons. Human ships shooting at each other in space. Human cities burning while armies marched through. This cannot be real," Admiral Mordo whispered. "They are so peaceful. They shared beautiful music with us." "They did share music," Quindor agreed. "But look at this." She showed them other human music. Loud, harsh sounds about war and death. Songs that made the aliens feel sick just listening. "To them and their entertainment," Morthal added, showing more files. "Movies about fighting. Sports where they hurt each other for fun. Stories about soldiers and battles and victory through violence." Counselor Nethra's gas form turned pale blue with shock. "Much of their culture did they hide from us." "Most of it," Quindor said sadly. "What they showed us was real, but it was less than 1% of who they are. The rest is about war, fighting, and being stronger than their enemies." Chairman Velkar was quiet for a long time. Finally he asked, "What about their world? What is Earth really like?" The display changed again. Now it showed Earth's classification in the Council database. Class 12. Deathworld. The highest danger rating possible. "Their planet tries to kill them every day," Morthal explained. "Poisonous animals, deadly weather, diseases that can wipe out entire populations, plants that eat meat, predators bigger than our ships. And the humans survived," Admiral Mordo said slowly. "They lived on this world for millions of years." "It's not just lived," Quindor corrected. "They won. They became the most dangerous thing on their planet. They had to, or they would have died out long ago." The room was silent, except for the soft sounds of the air recycling system. Each alien leader was thinking the same thing. They had invited apex predators to join their peaceful alliance. "We need to talk to them," Velkar decided. "Bring Ambassador Teho here, now." 2 hours later, Teho Kim stood in the secret room. He looked calm, but his eyes were alert. He had known this day would come eventually. "Sit down, Ambassador," Velkar said. "I will stand, thank you." Teho replied politely. Mortho activated the display showing all their research about humanity's real nature. "We know," he said simply. Teho looked at the images of human warfare. The data about Earth's dangers, the records of humanity's violent history. His expression did not change. "I see," he said. "Why did you lie to us?" Counselor Nethra demanded. Her gas form was swirling with angry red colors. "We did not lie," Teho said calmly. "Everything we told you was true. We do value peace. We do create beautiful art. We do want to work together with other species. But you did not tell us about the rest," Admiral Mordo accused. "No, we did not." Teho's voice was steady. "Would you have listened to us if we had started by showing you our weapons? Would you have welcomed us if our first gift had been recordings of our wars?" Quinder made a bubbling sound, the Morden expression for anger. "You deceived us. Showed you our best selves," Teho said. "We hoped that by focusing on our peaceful achievements, we could become those better selves among the stars. But what are you really?" Chairman Velkar asked. "What are humans truly like?" Before Teho could answer, another human entered the room. Dr. Yunji Kong was a small woman with kind eyes. But when she spoke, her words sent chills through every alien present. "We are persistence hunters from a world that has tried to kill us every single day for millions of years," she said. "We survived by being more dangerous than anything else on our planet." She walked to the display and changed it to show Earth's animals. "These are some of the creatures we share our world with. Giant bears that can run faster than your vehicles. Cats that hunt in packs and can leap 30 meters. Reptiles with poison that kills in minutes. Ocean creatures larger than your ships, with teeth like swords." The aliens stared at the images in horror. "And we did not just survive them," Dr. Yunji continued. "We became their predators. We hunted creatures 10 times our size with nothing but sharp sticks. We tracked them across continents. We never gave up, never stopped, never showed mercy to anything that threatened our families." "That is what humans are," Teho added quietly. "We are what happens when evolution puts intelligence into the body of an apex predator." Morthal's gas form was almost black with fear. "Do you want to join our alliance?" "We want to be part of something better than what we were," Teho said. "But we will not pretend to be something we are not. We are dangerous. We know this. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge?" The aliens looked at each other. They had thought they were dealing with another peaceful species like themselves. Instead, they had discovered they were sharing space with something that could probably conquer the entire galaxy if it wanted to. The question was, did it want to? "We need time to think," Chairman Velkar said finally. "Oh, of course," Teho agreed. "But while you are thinking, remember this. We have been here for 3 years. In that time, have we hurt anyone? Have we taken anything that was not freely given? Have we shown any sign that we want to conquer or destroy?" He paused, then added softly, "We are dangerous, yes, but we are not evil. There is a difference." After the humans left, the alien leaders sat in silence for a long time. Outside their secret room, the galaxy continued as it always had. But everything had changed. They now knew they were not alone at the top of the food chain, and they were not sure if that was good news or the worst news possible. The emergency alarms screamed across Council Station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. In the main command center, alien officers ran between control panels, their faces full of panic. Chairman Velkar stood in the center of the chaos, his crystal body flickering with stress patterns. Around him, holographic displays showed the same. Terrible news from every corner of Council space. The Crexian horde had returned. Admiral Mordo swam quickly to Velkar's side, his large eyes wide with fear. 37 worlds under attack, he reported. The horde has over 10,000 ships this time. It's the biggest invasion in recorded history. Counselor Nethra floated nearby, her gas form swirling with dark colors. The outer colonies are already falling. Nexus 7 surrendered after just 2 hours of fighting. The Vega mining station went dark an hour ago. Velkar felt his crystal body grow cold. The Crexian horde was the nightmare of the galaxy. It came every few decades, sweeping through space like a plague. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not use. No one had ever successfully fought them off. The Crexians were warriors by nature. They lived only to fight and conquer. Their ships were covered in armor and weapons. Their soldiers were trained from birth to kill without mercy. When they came, civilized species ran or surrendered. There was no other choice. How long before they reached the core worlds? Velkar asked. 6 days, maybe 7, Admiral Mordo said. Unless we can slow them down somehow. With what? Nethra demanded. Our security forces are designed to keep peace between civilized species. They are not armies. We have no weapons that can fight the Horde. This was true. The Council's member species had grown past the need for warfare. They settled disputes with words, not weapons. They built art and science, not warships. It was a beautiful way to live, but it left them helpless against true predators, sir. A young Veltar officer called out. There's a message coming in from the human ambassador. Velkar felt a strange mix of hope and fear. The humans. The Deathworlders. The species that had hidden their true nature for 3 years. Put him through. Ambassador Teho's image appeared on the main screen. Behind him stood a human woman in a strange uniform. She was tall and strong-looking, with short gray hair and eyes like steel. Chairman Velkar Teho said formally. We have heard about the Crexian attack. On behalf of humanity, I want to offer our assistance. Your assistance? Admiral Mordo made a bubbling sound of confusion. You have a few cargo ships and a small diplomatic vessel. What could you possibly do against 10,000 Crexian warships? The human woman behind Teho stepped forward. I am Admiral Subino of the Earth Defense Force, she said. And we have more than cargo ships? Velkar stared at her. Earth Defense Force? We have no record of human military forces. That is because we chose not to share that information, Admiral Subin said calmly. But the situation has changed. May I ask? How long do you expect your forces to hold against the Horde? The alien leaders looked at each other. Finally, Nethra answered, We cannot hold it all. We'll try to evacuate as many civilians as possible before the core worlds fall. I see. Admiral Subin nodded. And if we could stop the Horde, would that change your opinion of humanity? Stop them? Velkar's crystal body flickered with something that might have been hope. The Crexian Horde has never been stopped. They have conquered half the galaxy over the centuries. They have never fought humans, Admiral Subin said simply. 3 hours. Later, the first human warships arrived. The aliens stared at the sensor displays in shock. The human ships did not look like the peaceful cargo vessels they were used to seeing. These were built for war. They were smaller than Crexian ships, but covered in weapons. They moved fast and struck hard, but it was not the ships that scared. The aliens. It was how many there were. 200. 500. 800 ships, the sensor operator counted. Where did they all come from? Earth has been building them for years, Admiral Subin explained from her flagship. We hoped we would never need them, but we always prepare for the worst. Colonel. Donghaeon Shin stood on the bridge of the human battleship Soul's Hammer. He watched as Crexian ships approached the Helios system, where 3 million aliens lived on peaceful farming worlds. All ships, this is Colonel Shin, he said into his communicator. The enemy is not expecting us. They think this will be easy. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Crexian fleet was massive, nearly 1,000 ships heading toward Helios. Prime? Their ships were huge and heavily armed. Each one could destroy a city by itself. But the Crexians had never fought an enemy that refused to run away. The human fleet hit them from 3 directions at once. Instead of standing back and shooting from a distance like most species did, the human ships charged straight into the enemy formation. What happened next shocked every alien watching from the safe. Command centers, the humans fought like they had been born for war. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, like a pack of hunters surrounding prey. When Crexian ships tried to retreat, human vessels followed them. When the enemy tried to form defensive lines, humans broke through them. Captain Ginwoo Bay led a squadron of fighters against a Crexian command ship. Instead of just shooting at it, his ships landed on its hull. Human soldiers cut holes in the armor and boarded the enemy vessel. This is insane, Admiral Mordo whispered as he watched the battle reports. "They're boarding Crexian ships. Those vessels are full of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy." But the humans did not seem to care about danger. Inside the Crexian command ship, Captain Jin Woo moved through the corridors with 20 soldiers behind him. The Crexians were larger than humans, covered in natural armor. With 4 arms that could crush steel, it did not matter. The humans moved like ghosts, appearing where the enemy did not expect them. They used the ship's own layout against its crew. They turned off the lights and fought in darkness, where human night vision gave them an advantage. When Crexian warriors tried to fight them hand-to-hand, they discovered that humans had been perfecting close combat for thousands of years. Every human soldier knew dozens of ways to kill with their bare hands. "Command bridge secured," Captain Jinwoo reported 30 minutes later. "Ship is ours." It was the same story throughout the fleet. Human ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting even when they were badly damaged. Human crews that should have surrendered when outnumbered instead fought harder. The most shocking moment came when Captain Sujin Park's ship was surrounded by 5 Crexian vessels. Her ship was leaking air and losing power. Any sane commander would have surrendered. Instead, Captain Park rammed her dying ship into the largest enemy vessel. The explosion destroyed both ships, but it also broke the Crexian formation and let other human ships escape. "She killed herself just to damage one enemy ship," Counselor Nethra said in horror. "No," Admiral Subin corrected. "She sacrificed herself to save her squadron. That is what humans do. We do not abandon our own." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Crexian fleet was retreating for the first time in their recorded history. More than half their ships were destroyed or captured. The survivors fled toward the edge of the galaxy, sending desperate messages about the ghost warriors who fought without fear. In the aftermath, alien rescue ships found human vessels that had continued fighting even when they were barely spaceworthy. They found human crew members who had stayed at their posts despite serious injuries. They found soldiers who had kept fighting even when they were outnumbered 10 to 1. But they also found something else. In the captured Crexian ships, human soldiers had set up medical stations for enemy wounded. Prisoners were given food and water. Crexian civilians who had been forced to serve on warships were protected and cared for. "I do not understand," Chairman Velkar said as he reviewed the reports. "They fight like savage beasts, but they show mercy to defeated enemies." Admiral Subin appeared on his communicator screen. Her uniform was torn, and she had a cut on her forehead, but she looked calm. "Chairman, the Crexian horde is retreating from all fronts. Your worlds are safe." How Velkar asked. "How did you defeat them when no one else ever has?" Admiral Subin was quiet for a moment, and she said, "Because we understand something that other species do not. Sometimes peace can only be protected by those willing to fight for it." Paused, then added, "We are dangerous, Chairman. But we are dangerous to those who threaten innocent people. There is a difference." On screens throughout Council space, aliens watched the battle recordings. They saw humans fighting with a fury that terrified them. But they also saw humans risking their lives to save alien civilians. They saw human doctors treating wounded enemies. They saw human commanders refusing to attack ships that were trying to surrender. The galaxy was beginning to understand what humanity really was: not monsters, but guardians. Not conquerors, but protectors. They were savage when they needed to be, but they chose when to be savage, and that choice made all the difference. In his private chambers, Chairman Velkar looked out at the stars and thought about the future. The humans had saved the galaxy today. But more importantly, they had shown that being dangerous and being good were not opposites. They were two sides of the same coin. Tomorrow, there would be new discussions about humanity's place in the galactic community. But tonight, for the first time in centuries, the civilized worlds could sleep peacefully. The Deathworlders were standing guard. 3 weeks after the battle, the Great Assembly Hall of Council Station was full. Representatives from every member species sat in their special chairs, looking down at the center stage. The air was thick with tension and expectation. Velkar stood at the main podium, his crystal body reflecting the lights in rainbow patterns. But today the colors were serious and formal. "We are here to decide humanity's future in our alliance," he announced. 3 weeks ago, they saved our worlds from the Crexian horde. Today, we must decide what that means. In the viewing gallery, Ambassador Taeho Kim sat with his team. Soyoung Park looked nervous. Minho Lee kept checking his notes. But Taeho himself appeared calm, as always. Whatever the council decided, he was ready for it. Admiral Mordo rose from his water-filled chair. "I want to read something," he said. His voice carried clearly through the hall. "This is from the official report of the Battle of Helios Prime." He activated a holographic display. "Human casualties, 347 dead. Over. 1,000 wounded. Crexian casualties. Over 15,000 dead or captured. But here's the interesting part. Crexian prisoners taken alive. 4,200. All of them were given medical care. All of them were fed and housed properly. Not one prisoner was harmed after surrender."
Oh.
Murmurs spread through the assembly. This was not what anyone had expected from a species they thought of as savage. "Counselor." Nethra floated to the speaking platform, her gas forms swirling with thoughtful blue colors. "I have been studying the battle recordings," she said. "I want to show you something." The central display lit up with video from the human ship Bisson's Pride. The vessel was badly damaged, leaking air, with fires burning on 3 decks. The captain, a human named Yansu Kim, was giving orders to her crew. "All civilians to the escape pods," Captain Yansu was saying. "Engineering teams, keep the engines running for 10 more minutes. That's all we need." Captain or second officer replied, "The ship is breaking apart. We should evacuate now. Not until every alien family is off this station," she said firmly. "Hold the line." The aliens in the assembly watched as the human crew kept their dying ship together just long enough for 300 alien civilians to escape in the pods. Only then did the humans abandon their vessel, seconds before it exploded.
She could
"Have saved her ship and her crew by leaving immediately," Nethra said quietly. Instead, she chose to sacrifice both to save people who were not even her own species. More examples followed. Human soldiers sharing their rations with hungry alien. Refugees. Human doctors working for days without rest to treat wounded enemies. Human engineers fixing alien ships for free. But the most powerful testimony came from an unexpected source. The main doors opened, and a group of figures entered the hall. They were Crexians, former members of the Horde who had been captured. In battle, the aliens in the assembly gasped and moved back in their seats. Even as prisoners, the Crexians looked terrifying. The lead Crexian was huge, with scars covering his armor-plated skin. His name was Drakmer, and he had been a battle commander in the Horde for 30 years. "I request permission to speak," he said, in heavily accented council standard. Chairman Velkar hesitated. Never before had a Crexian addressed the council peacefully. "You may speak." Drakmer stepped forward, his forearms hanging at his sides. "I fought humans in battle," he said. "I expected them to fight like cowards, like all civilized species do. I was wrong." He paused, looking around the assembly. "Humans fight like Crexians fight? No, they fight better than Crexians. They do not surrender. They do not run. Fight until they win or die." The aliens listened in stunned silence. "Then something happened that I did not understand," Drakmer continued. "When I was captured, wounded, and helpless, I expected torture. I expected death. That is what warriors do to enemies." His voice grew quieter. "Instead, a human doctor healed my wounds. Human soldiers gave me food and water. When I asked why, they said, 'Because you are no longer fighting us. You are just hurt and need help.'" Drakmer looked directly at Ambassador. "Taeho, in 30 years of war, no enemy has ever shown mercy to captured Crexians. But humans did. They are warriors, yes. But they are also something more." He turned back to the assembly. "The Horde will not attack Council space again. Have told all our clans. The Deathworlders guard these stars now. Find easier prey somewhere else." After Drakmer and his group left, the assembly was quiet for a long time. Finally, Chairman Velkar called Ambassador Teho to speak. Teho walked to the center of the hall. He looked up at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. Some showed fear, some respect, some confusion. All of them were waiting to hear what he would say. 3 weeks ago, you learned what humans are really like, he began. You learned that we come from a world of death and violence. You learned that we have fought wars for thousands of years. You learned that we are dangerous. He paused, letting his words sink in. Today, you learned something else. You learned that dangerous and evil are not the same thing. You learned that the ability to fight does not mean the desire to conquer. You learned that we can choose when to be savage and when to be gentle. Teho walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with aliens throughout the hall. We did not want to hide our nature from you, he said, but we knew you would be afraid. We wanted to show you our peaceful side first, so you would understand that we are not monsters. He stopped walking and looked directly at Chairman Velkar. We are what our world made us, survivors. We learned to fight because everything on Earth was trying to kill us. We learned to be dangerous because safe creatures do not last long on a death world. His voice grew stronger. But we also learned something else. We learned that strength without wisdom is just destruction. We learned that the strong must protect the weak. We learned that survival means nothing if you become a monster to achieve it. Teho spread his arms wide, addressing the entire assembly. We offer you a choice. We can be your allies and protectors, using our strength to guard what you have built, or we can leave, and you will never see us again. But we will not pretend to be something we are not. He lowered his arms. We are dangerous. We'll always be dangerous. The question is, do you want that danger on your side? The vote was taken 3 hours later, after much debate. When the results were announced, Chairman Velkar's crystal body brightened with relief. By a vote of 47-3, with 2 abstentions, humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Alliance, he announced. Furthermore, by a vote of 39-13, Earth Defense Forces are invited to serve as the primary military protectors of Council space. In the viewing gallery, Sol-Young Park started crying with relief. Minho Lee grinned widely. Ambassador Teho just nodded calmly, as if he had expected this outcome all along. Maybe he had. 6 months later, Commander Jae Sung Lim stood on the bridge of the joint patrol ship Harmony. His crew was half human, half alien. His second in command was a Veltar named Crystal. His weapons officer was a Morden called Bluefin. His engineer was a Nethrim, who went by the name Whisper. They were patrolling the outer rim of Council space, watching for pirates and raiders. It was peaceful work, but important work. Contact on sensors, Bluefin reported. 3 ships, moving fast, heading for the Zephyr colony. Pirates? Jae Sung asked. Looks like it, sir. They're not responding to our warnings? Jae Sung smiled. Grimly then. Let's remind them why attacking innocent people is a bad idea. As the Harmony moved to intercept the raiders, Crystal made a sound like wind chimes, the Veltar expression for amusement. What's funny? Jae Sung asked. I was just thinking, Crystal replied. A year ago I was afraid of humans, I thought. You were all savage killers, and now? Oh, I know you are savage killers, Crystal said, but you are our savage killers. And that makes all the difference. The pirate ship saw the patrol vessel approaching and immediately changed course, fleeing toward empty space. They had learned what every criminal in the galaxy now knew. When humans were on patrol, crime did not pay. In his captain's chair, Jae Sung smiled. The galaxy was a safer place now, not because humans had changed who they were, but because they had found the right way to be what they had always been. They were still Deathworlders. They were still dangerous. They were still savage when they needed to be. But now they were using that savage nature to protect instead of destroy. And in the end, that was what made them heroes instead of monsters. The difference between a guardian and a killer was not strength or skill or even nature. It was choice, and humanity had chosen well.